Big Sills! By the way, how's everybody feeling? Couple hours after, a day after what happened on Sunday. How you feeling? Dude, it's Cowboy week. Put that shit in the rear view. It's Cowboy week. Okay? It's Cowboy week. Let's go. Worry about that thing that happened to you on Sunday. By the way, let me ask you something here. And I want to throw this at you here. Do you think that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to go on a harder run in the playoffs than what you guys are currently on now? Dallas, Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco, and then Dallas. Isn't this current stretch of games going to be harder than anything you'll face in the postseason? Right? Last year you had New York and the Niners. You're not going to go on any harder run than you're on right now. It's actually going to be easier. Right? It's actually going to be easier when you get to the playoffs. You know, because if you're a 1 or 2 seed, you're going to get the lesser team that you're going to have to play in the opening round of the playoffs. I'm assuming you're going to get home field. You're going to get a bye. And then you're probably going to take on the lowest seeded team that comes out of the wild card weekend. Then you're going to play a tough NFC championship game again. Dude, what you're doing right now, you'll never duplicate this in the postseason. Okay? You'll never. Sills, how's your boy Dougie P doing last night? LJ, doing great. He shines up his Eagle championship ring every night before he goes to bed, and he puts it under his pillow and lets you worry about how your coach is shit the bed 10 months ago. Pretty good. I think Doug sleeps pretty well. Did he miss an opportunity? Yeah. It's okay. Always remember something. Bling, bling. Bling, bling. Here's what old Nick Sirianni, and I'm sick and tired of those shitty-ass press conferences that Sirianni puts on. Yeah, man, we should run the ball more. Dude, I don't want to hear that in a Tuesday press conference. I want to see you do that in a football game. Don't tell me what you should have did on a Tuesday. Show me what you need to do on a Sunday, guy. Damn, training wheels coaches, hard at it. Give me a break, dude. You got to get, we need to be more committed and run. Really? It's 14 weeks we're going into now, Nick. Maybe we should be running the ball with more balance. Dude, really? You're going to talk to us now going into week 14 that you should have more balance in your offense. That guy's so bad a coach. Unbelievable, man. The guy is a puppet. He's a librarian. Seriously, man, the next job that Sirianni gets will be as a CPA somewhere in Philly. Don't talk to me on Tuesday about what you needed to do in the game. I don't know anybody in that press corps one iota of an answer on what we should or shouldn't do. Everyone knows it. And here he is again coming out there telling me, well, we need to do this. We need to do that. Well, Jesus, guy. The lamest guy on the planet knows that. Jesus criminy. You got to be kidding me, man. Those are stupid press conferences. They absolutely go nowhere. Oh, and by the way, I'm trying to give you kudos here as you guys head into Dallas. I'm trying to give you kudos. By the way, it's Dallas week. Man, you guys were really beat up yesterday, Eagle fans. It's like your pride got kicked. It's the NFL, man. What'd you do, flip-flop? Hey, AJ, what'd you do, flip-flop? Your 10-2 record didn't matter. You guys got exposed. You got exposed on Sunday. What'd you do, flip-flop? Well, maybe we're not as good as we think we are. Didn't Sil say Mac Jones would benefit from Belichick coaching? I said that Mac Jones would benefit from Bill O'Brien coaching because he coached him to a national championship at Alabama. But obviously, it ain't the defense. It's clearly offensive issues in New England. And Mac Jones isn't the guy. Or maybe they don't have good enough coaches offensively up there. I don't know. By the way, 4 bad years of – you got to love Eagle fan taking a shot at Bill Belichick in New England. Guy's got 24 years of coaching in New England and 6 Super Bowls. Drafted Brady. Coached LT. He's got 4 bad years and 6 rings. I mean, I'll take it. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you take 4 shitty years of football for 6 Super Bowl rings? Not me. I like coming in second place and only having 1 title in 30 years under Jeffrey Lurie. You're nowhere near that franchise and what Bob Kraft has done versus Jeffrey Lurie. It's night and day. It's night and day. Remember, he went to a Super Bowl also with Parcells. Kraft knows how to run a franchise. How you doing? As Angelo would say, it's too easy. Absolutely too easy. I got a nice video that was sent to me by Philly Godfather. Oh, by the way, Philly 500 will join us at 5:30. And our friend Rick Goslin from the Dallas Morning News who covers the Dallas Cowboys and is a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. And I will ask him if he's going to vote for Eric Allen. And so can you ask him, are you going to vote for Eric Allen? We'll make our case for him. Night and day, indeed. 6-1. How you doing? Well, it was all Brady. Well, who drafted him? Who drafted Tom Brady? I forgot. It must have been someone else. By the way, he drafted 5 quarterbacks starting in the NFL. Wasn't like he doesn't know what he's doing at the quarterback position. How you doing? Dougie P. Great coach. Missed opportunity last night. Absolutely. Missed opportunity. Just like you guys getting trucked on Sunday. Missed opportunity. I'm going to say this about the Dallas Cowboys, though. Right here. The Philadelphia Eagle franchise for the last 25 years has played in some of the biggest games in the NFL and have won some really big games. The Dallas Cowboys in the last 25 years have not. There is an opportunity on Sunday for the Cowboys to finally win a big game. This is the biggest game probably since that Green Bay playoff game with the catch, no catch on Des Bryant that Dallas has played in. You have an opportunity to kind of even the slate here a little bit and make it a race to see who wins the NFC East. These are the games the Cowboys don't win. You got a golden opportunity on Sunday versus the Eagles, who are a wounded team rolling in there. But you're going to have to put the silver stake in their heart and cut their head off, because they're going to come back raring and they're not going to look like they did on Sunday. I can guarantee that. Okay? I can guarantee that. They're not going to look like they did Sunday. And by the way, Dallas is not San Francisco. You know, I was asked a question by Philly Godfather, who's on every Friday at 5:30. Was the Niners' game plan, was that the thing that exposed the Eagles? Yeah, it did. Well, when you got Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, McCaffrey, Trent Williams, an MVP candidate in the quarterback, and a damn good play caller, yeah. But how many teams are you going to run into like San Francisco? One? There's no team in the NFL like San Francisco. When San Francisco is healthy, that's a great football team. It's a great team. So to sit here and go like this, Dallas has got Philadelphia right where they want them. I'm like, you think you're as talented? They beat you by 32. They beat you by 32 points. Dallas is trying to talk themselves into a win. Philadelphia is going to go into Arlington and play themselves into a position to win. Completely the difference in franchises. Totally the difference in how they approach games and how they approach seasons and roster building. I like the fact that Howie takes swings when it comes to trying to find players to bring onto his football team, albeit their spare parts. You know, again, the 49ers shop at the Ferrari place. The Eagles shop at a used car lot when it comes to defensive football players. Greenwell and Fred Warner, those guys are Ferraris. You guys have used automobiles. You have used Acuras. I mean, functional. It's a good car. Those guys are exceptional. That is totally exceptional what San Francisco does. It's funny how John Lynch looks at how he builds a team. It's completely polar opposite than how Howie builds his team. All the positions that Howie ignores, John addresses. Running back, linebackers, corners, safeties, all in the draft too. John's a better drafter than Howie Roseman. He's a better drafter. How is he not? Drafted Purdy. Drafted Ayuk. Drafted Debo. Drafted Kittle. Drafted Bosa. Drafted Warner. I mean, traded for Williams. Traded for Hargrave. Almost every single skilled guy except for McCaffrey, who was traded with Carolina, was homegrown by John Lynch. Purdy wins MVP. Does he hold out next year? I think he's got one more year on that rookie deal. 49ers are not the best organization. They're one of. Trey Lance was a Ferrari. Purdy, dollar store. Okay. Trey Lance was a Ferrari. Yeah, he was sitting right next to Jalen Reagor, Derek Barnett, Andre Dillard, that linebacker you whacked last year or in the offseason, Nakobe Dean. Yeah, okay. All the great corners you've drafted and linebackers. Hey, there's no doubt that was a colossal F-up. But you know what it's being covered by? The same reason that the Carson Wentz deal is being covered up by Jalen Hurts. Brock Purdy's covering it. Same way. And you know where Shanahan learned that from, don't you? Shanahan learned that from his father. Why? What was the similarity between Trey Lance, John Lynch, and San Francisco? You know what the similarities were? When Mike Shanahan drafted RG3, they drafted Kirk Cousins in the 4th or 5th round. They hedged their bets. They made sure they had somebody that they drafted. They had a plan B. Had a plan B. I want to get into something here. By the way, top 10 quarterbacks, top 10 NFL teams. We do that today. MVP race. Interesting how they see it now. Let's do this. Let's start from the very beginning here about your offensive coordinators and how they've performed this year as they get ready for this stretch run, the playoffs, this Dallas game. Give me a grade on Sean Desai so far. What would you give a grade for Sean Desai, the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles? What, a B, D, C minus, B? I don't think it's D. Okay. LJ says incomplete. Incomplete. When you have some of the worst numbers in the National Football League. Now, he could be making a point. Sills, look at what he's working with. Okay. So, I would go C+. And I'll give you my reasons why here in a minute. What would you give Brian Johnson, the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles? What would you give him? I'm going to write that down. C+ for Sean Desai. What would you give? F, D, D+, C minus, C+. The record's 10-2. They're scoring about 26 points a game. I mean, they're not horrible numbers. There's been 2 shitty games, Jets and Sunday. I don't know. C? So let's just say this, your coordinators are average. Let's now dissect this now. Because in my opinion, and you can quote me on this, I think the front office is completely meddling once again like they did with Doug Peterson's coaching staff. And it's an organizational decision on how they do business, that these guys have to work within confines and restrictions of what they want to do. You have to remember something. When these systems were put in place, do you know why Shane Steichen looked better? Shane Steichen developed this offensive system for Jalen. Brian Johnson's actually coaching Shane Steichen's system for Jalen Hurts. And Sean Desai is working, and I told you this, he was going to look worse this year than Jonathan Gannon because of lesser talent and the way they play defense. This is by design. The number one thing that offense doesn't want to do in 2023, okay, they don't want to lose games, but they don't want Hurts hurt. Their number one priority is get to the playoffs because they know the NFC is so bad. The advantage that they have is that the NFC, there's 2 teams really, and maybe Detroit. There's no one else in the NFC that's going to threaten Philly and San Francisco. Dallas, we'll see. We will see. This is Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, once again, making a statement that these coaches have to coach in this type of system. And it's frustrating. You can see it in the game planning. How many times are we going to sit here on a Tuesday or Monday morning, a Monday afternoon, and sit there and say, Why are they playing 10 yards off the ball? Why don't you play press coverage ever? It's by design. That's not a coach is not going to let you complete 78% of your passes. And that's what the quarterbacks have done versus the Eagle defense all year. Do you know what their mentality is? Do you know what their mentality is? Their mentality is, hey, we're going to play zone defense the entire time, hoping you F up. Because in theory, in the NFC, who's the best quarterback not named Jalen Hurts in the NFC right now? Give me your top three. Give me your top three quarterbacks in the NFC. Purdy? Who else? Goff? That's active. Dak, Purdy, and Goff? That's not quite Mahomes, Allen, Lamar. Okay? And then the rest of the NFC, garbage quarterbacks. Sills, what does Matt Patricia even do? I'm gonna get to what I think this is a front office issue again. And this is the shit that got in the way with Doug. And you follow me here. I'm going to get to the offensive side in a minute. I'm not going to continue to come out here on a Monday or Tuesday and sit there and go, why do they play only zone coverage? I know why. It's easier for Howie Roseman to go find players that fit into zone coverage defenses than have a coordinator come in. This is why they don't want new coordinators that don't conform or play in their sandbox. This is a Howie thing. It's easier for Howie to find free agents. It's easier for them to find free agents to fit into a system. They believe in plug and play. They totally believe in plug and play. And Desai has to, you don't really know if Sean Desai's a good coordinator or not. By the way, first two series against San Francisco, the defense was playing like their hair was on fire. What happened? You know what they did? They got nervous that those wide receivers were going to run down the sidelines and there was going to be the plus 25 plays. Why didn't you keep bringing pressure? That's not what they do. Steve goes, I believe you. Do you have the proof? I agree, though. Steve, watch the games. Steve, how many Mondays in the last 2 years? Dude, how about this? Does that defense look any different than last year? Fundamentally and technique-wise? Does it look any different? You got a better group of DTs. Does it look any different? Are they doing anything technically different than what they did a year ago? Some pressure? Joseph goes, they look worse. Yeah, less talent. Less talent. Well, we told you that. Howie Roseman and the front office, this is their system on defense. And this is their decision on how they want to play defense. It's why they invest in D linemen and nothing else. They're going to spend money on corners, an edge rusher, and draft linemen. Everywhere else is expendable. That's what they've done since the 17 Super Bowl. If you fundamentally look at it, every single thing that Doug Peterson said about the Eagle organization, hey, let me back up on this, though, and say this. Mike goes like this, it's a championship losing system. That's an interesting take. Mike's right. You're going to win a ton of games, but when you get into a championship moment, you're never going to hear Philly. Philly's not an analytics play. It's a gut play. That football team is run strictly off of analytics. strictly off of analytics, and that's why you lost the Super Bowl. So when we're banging on these coordinators, they're forced to play in that sandbox with that pail and shovel, or they're not going to be in that sandbox. Okay? It's not about making money. You know what it's about? Howie being able to do his job easier. You know, I'm going to say this too to his side of it. Sills, is it a bad philosophy? Not really. But is it a championship mentality? And is it a championship philosophy? Because when you play the really great teams like San Francisco and like you did 10 months ago, you're going to get beaten games like that. You're going to win 95% of the football games you're in until you face teams that know how to take it apart. There's a lot of voices, in my opinion, in that front office on Sunday game preparation. That guy, Alec Halaby, look him up. I brought him up. Xander, take a look at that guy's bio. Alec Halaby. Look at the bio. Game day analysis, analytics, player evaluation, game strategy. I thought that was designed for the coaches. That's Howie's number one dude every single day on player evaluation, approaching how to beat teams, the analytics of every team, and the analytics of every coach. Look it up. Look it up. Look at his job title. Look at his job title. He has got more responsibility than Nick. He evaluates Nick's players. He evaluates Nick's game plan. He puts an analysis on the defensive game plan. I went back and looked at his job title. You don't have a head coach making decisions in game. That's why it looks the way it does. There's too many voices again. You don't have clarity. And that's why the game plan, the coaches, do you know why the Eagles back their coaches, especially their assistants? Because they fall on the sword. Nick Sirianni falls on the sword for Howie. And the assistants fall on the sword for Nick. That's why he's constantly saying, yeah, we got to do a better job here. Or that was my call. When you're an NFL coach like Pete Carroll and Belichick or Andy, not falling on the sword for anybody. Because you're not answering anything. You don't owe it to anybody. It's a fall in line mentality. Now look, it's pretty successful. But it's not ultimately successful. I keep asking this question to you guys. This is the 30th anniversary of Jeffrey Lurie owning the Philadelphia Eagles. And I've asked you it again, and I'm going to ask you one more time. Do you think his 30 years have been overachieving or underachieving? I want to ask you one more time that question. Do you think he's over or underachieved as an Eagle head coach? Let's see who's won more. Steve Biscotti's won more. Shit, Jerry Jones has won more. Kraft has won more. Let's see who else. The Rooneys. The Glazers. One title in 30 years is underachieving. It has been decent. Isn't Jeffrey Lurie a little bit above Andy Reid? A little bit more of an overachiever? Stan Kroenke? Kroenke's got 2. You're right. One in St. Louis and one in L.A. You're right. No, wait a minute. That wasn't under Kroenke. That was Georgie Frenier. That was not Stan Kroenke's Super Bowl. That was Georgie Frenier with Charlie Army running the team. Carol Rosenblum's former wife, she owned the Rams in St. Louis at the time. That was not Kroenke's team. Kroenke may have been a part owner, though. So maybe you give him some credit in there for that. The Mars have won 2. That's right. And the Tishes. Underachieving for sure. Front office could be holding us back. The front office gets in the way. And that's why good coaches get fired in Philly. Think about that. You know why good coaches get fired in Philly? Because they don't have the autonomy they want. Now, Andy's was different. May have just run its course. 14 years, Was it running out of steam like Belichick is running out of steam in New England? Probably. Was it time to move on? Yeah, probably. 14 years in one place? What did Walsh always say? Hey, 10 years, when you start getting over that 10-year number, it's time for coaches to move on or think about moving on. Being in one place, they'll vilify you by the end, especially if you've been a successful coach. Take a look at Don Shula's first 10 years versus his last 10 years as a Miami Dolphin head coach. You tell me what you think of that. Look what Shula did his first 10 years as the head coach of the Dolphins versus his last 10. Same with Landry. Look at Landry's first 10 and then his last 10. And all those great coaches, okay, it starts great, ends horrible. Okay, so Andy probably, right, at the end? You know what's crazy is that the Eagles, they moved off of Doug Peterson to keep what's going on right now. They have not changed their mentality. And I think it's why you lost that Super Bowl 10 months ago. Because you do not have quality coaches. Some of you think Nick Sirianni's a great coach. Can you tell? Every coach you've had since Jeffrey Lurie's owned the team has never had a losing record. Most of them have been successful. Whatever you want to say about Chip, he brought Lane in. I think they drafted Kelsey. They also brought Jeff Stoutland in. Didn't Chip do that too? Wasn't like he was a non-factor. He put some of the pieces that would help you go on and win a Super Bowl. I mean, am I wrong? He brought Jeff Stoutland, your second best position coach since Jim Johnson. Andy drafted Kelsey. Okay, that's right. Andy drafted Kelsey and Travis. Okay, you're right. But Lane, by the way, Lane was so good, man. Oh, hey, congratulations to Lane Johnson on being named the Philadelphia Eagles Walter Payton Man of the Year. It's a tremendous honor. I played against Walter Payton, and Jared Payton went to the University of Miami, and I'm dear friends with him, and the family is really tied into that award. It means a lot to them. Walter was a special person, and Jared, I tweeted it out, and he sent me a text. He goes, man, I like Lane Johnson. I go, I'll tell you what, man, he's a good community guy. People in Philadelphia love and revere the guy. I surely hope at the end of the year, he's the guy standing and he's the Walter Payton Man of the Year. I really do. And if I can have any influence on Jared Payton, I talked to him today about it. And I said, Jared, I really like this guy. It seems that he really loves playing in Philly. And he's the best right tackle I've seen in pro football, maybe in my lifetime. I mean, he killed Nick Bosa. Killed him. Bosa got pressure. Bosa's the reigning defensive player of the year. I thought he shut him down. Made some plays. He did. He's going to make plays. He's a great football player. But I thought Lane was better. Okay? Thank you, Barb. Hey, Barb, when you're old, you start to know people. You know what I mean? Yeah, and Michael, and not healthy. He had a great game. He really did. He had a great game. He was so good in that football game. He absolutely was tremendous. Guys, am I off base? Tell me something here. Here, let me ask you this. Did the front office get in the way of Doug? Joe Ho says, Sills, ain't you happy we lost? Just saying. I could care less if you win or lose. It's better for my... Hey, Ho, I'm going to hook you up on something. It's better for my show if you win. What, you want me to lie? Pretend that I'm an Eagle fan? Why would I want you to lose and cover a 4-win team? Or a quarterback that blows? Who in the world wants to cover the Arizona Cardinals? You have me way... Right? Xander knows me. Why would I want to cover a 4-win team with a shitty quarterback? Why would I want to do that? I do what's best for my show. Ho. Come on, Ho. So you guys agree then. So do you think Howie's changed under Nick? So you guys just got through saying, Kathy goes, yes, because the front office didn't let Doug Peterson bring his own people in. Okay. So let me ask you this. You think the front office allowed Nick to bring his own people in? So do you agree that Howie and the front office still are doing what they did under Doug now? You just did. That LT held Nick Bosa. No, he didn't. Killed him. If there ain't a flag, it ain't a penalty. That's wishful thinking, dude. Hey, Seals, be grateful you don't have to cover the Cardinals. Very true. Very true. So wait, hang on here. What did I just see? Yeah, Shane and Gannon were Nick guys. Steichen and Gannon were not Nick guys. They were Frank Reich guys. Frank Reich recommended them. Because Nick, dude, Xander Krause was producing the show when we had Frank Reich on. Frank, who contacted you first when it came to trading Carson Wentz? The owner. Then Howie called. Who recommended Nick? I did. To who? To the owner. Then Howie called. Go back and listen. That happened right here on the program. Nick, guys. It was a recommendation because what's his name was the head coach of the Colts. Was the head coach of the Colts during that whole process. He said it on this program. Howard Eskin took the interview and put it on IP. Don't you remember that? Some of you are brand new to the show. So I got to be careful here because some of you don't know what I'm talking about. When Nick Sirianni got hired, do you know how that whole thing went down? I'll help you out here. Frank recommended him. During the whole trading of Wentz, Doug gets fired. He says, you should take a look at this guy. He prepped him for how the Eagles run their organization. Rest is history. Oh, that's right. Sileo don't know anybody. By the way, tell you what Howie's little tentacles are doing. Do you find it a little bit suspect? And could you, if Zach Ertz lands in Philly, do you think you could have some teams like the Cowboys ask if there was a little bit of collusion going on between Gannon and the Cardinals and the Eagles and Howie? I mean, do you find the timing? And Steichen, they cut him and he lands in Philly. I don't know. It seems a little weird, right? Ertz demands a trade. All right. What again? Gannon goes, okay. Now they're talking potentially about having Zach Ertz reunited. Boy, I'll tell you what, Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz as your two tight ends heading into the stretch run in playoffs. Ertz is not going to be Zach Ertz of 5 years ago, but Zach Ertz on 20 plays, I'll take it. I'll take it. Shaq Leonard played for Frank. We talked to Frank. By the way, Nick was in Indianapolis when Shaq Leonard was in Indianapolis. He was the OC. I don't know. It just looks a little, I don't know. I mean, if Zach Ertz lands in Philly, man, you're going to have a lot of teams going, all right, hang on here. Hang on here. That's a GOAT move, actually. I would give Howie kudos for being a GOAT, for doing that. Hey, Blue Horseshoe says, Zach, I got a spot for you. I know it ended shitty here, and I fired you in the tunnel after Monday Night Football and sent your ass to the Cardinals. But hey, if the linebacker kid can make up with Pete Carroll in Seattle, let's me and you hook up. How you doing? Put your egos aside. Make that baby happen. Ertz is toast, KC says. 20 plays? You're not asking him to start. But the garbage you have behind Dallas Goedert, you didn't even target a tight end. In the 49er game, you didn't even attempt to go anywhere. Zach Ertz is toast. What do you have behind him? Broken eggshells? Yeah. Dude, I like look at a guy like LJ. LJ doesn't believe that the general manager ran the team. Oh, he believes that he ran the team and it got in the way of Doug. But a training wheels new head coach had more autonomy than the guy who won you the Super Bowl. You can't even have any more backwards thinking than LJ. Hey, you know what? The guy who won me the Super Bowl, I want to take the power from him. But the guy who's a training wheels and just graduated kindergarten, I'm going to give you all the autonomy to pick your coaches and players. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Sure. Nick couldn't pick his nose without asking Howie. Hey, Howie, is this okay? Julio Jones? Hey, I really want Julio Jones. I would say the only thing that Nick Sirianni's ever asked for and got was Zach Pascal. Honestly. Would be Zach Pascal. Yeah. Hey, can I have Zach? It's $900,000, sure. Why not? Darman goes 4-11-1. Yeah, your general manager sabotaged the head coach so that he could get him out of there. Nate Sudfeld is as much as of a legend as Nick Foles is. Nate Sudfeld is was the last quarterback that Howie wanted to play quarterback for Doug Peterson to make sure he lost the final game. They get a better draft pick. Every player on the bench And everyone in here knows when you looked over at Jason Kelsey and you saw that O-line and you saw people doing this, what the F? Yeah, okay. Not here. We don't throw games. You threw one. You threw one. How he wanted the Eagles to go 4-11? No, he wanted Doug Peterson fired because he didn't want to go through what he went through with Chip Kelly. Doug won a Super Bowl. You can have a down season. Okay? Again, this is the point where we are today with these coordinators. We're talking about the history that applies to the present. Today, Nick doesn't have – those coaches are working in a very hard situation, is my point. How can they do anything when they're being told what to do? You really think Brian Johnson's the play caller? Or he has to work within restrictions? Okay? There's LJ not knowing the story about Schottenheimer going 14-2. He didn't go 14-2. And it's a great – thank you, LJ, for that. It reminds me of front offices having more power. The guy's name, who was the general manager of the Chargers at the time, I covered the team, was A.J. Smith. And the Spanos family believed in, like the Eagles do, having their general manager have more power than their head coach. Well, if you remember correctly, Marty wanted to keep Drew Brees, who had already been a Pro Bowler in San Diego. But A.J. drafted Phillip Rivers. They went 14-2 and should have won that AFC title game. Marty Schottenheimer said, I am not trading Drew Brees. I don't want to play him in the final game. So what happened? The front office superseded, put Drew Brees in, and against Kansas City, he blew his shoulder out. The Chargers got nothing for Drew Brees. Just cut him. Nothing. And Dr. Andrews had to put him together like Humpty Dumpty. He became a free agent. The guy in the open market that year was Dante Culpepper. Wasn't Drew Brees. He was the second guy in line. And he fell into Sean Payton's lap in New Orleans. Marty was fired because he was fighting to keep Brees and not play him. But the front office got in the way. Thank you, LJ. I appreciate that. Front offices that get in the way limit your chances, I think, of winning the big games. And that's where we are. How can you tell if these coordinators are good when you're doing the same shit you were doing to Doug? I'm wrong? That's not how I see it. Every Monday, why are you playing 10 yards off the ball? Why are you playing 10 yards off the ball? Why are you playing 10 yards off the ball? Why aren't you running the ball? Let's get to the offensive side now. The Philadelphia Eagles mentality in the front office is don't get Jalen Hurts hurt. The NFC is not very good. We'll win the NFC. It's San Francisco and us. We could beat these teams, whatever. We don't really have to play our A game. When you were asked to play your A game, you got killed. Like, you're not going to have to play an A game against Dallas. You could play a Dallas. You played as. Would we not agree? Would we not agree? What would you say you guys played against Dallas? A C-plus game? Would you agree? You guys probably played a C-plus game against the Cowboys. Would that be fair? B minus, C minus? Okay, sure. Pick one. What would you give a grade of how you guys play? C plus sounds right. The Cowboys are counting on you to play a D minus game to beat them. You don't have to play your A game like you did against San Francisco. You can't play C plus games against San Francisco. It's the only team you had to play in the last 3 years. As Kansas City 10 months ago, okay? It's the only team you had to play an A game against. You haven't had to play an A game in 2.5 years. Dude, Sunday against the Cowboys, the Eagles could play C+. The Cowboys have to play an A game to beat you. The Cowboys, in my opinion, they played their best game of the year against you and still couldn't beat you. And you played like a C game. Think of that. You don't have to play an A+ game against that team to beat them. They're counting on you to come off that 49er game. And you know what I said yesterday? You guys are going to get beat. I don't know. It depends on how the injuries and the defense responds. I think the offense is going to respond. I really do. But you don't have to play a superstar game against Dallas to beat them. You know this. Here, for you to win the Super Bowl this year, you got to play an A+ game against San Francisco, maybe the Ravens. Everyone else, do you guys think you played an A+ game against Kansas City? I don't. You think you played an A+ game against Buffalo? I don't. You saw what an A+ game looked like Sunday. You had to play an A+ game, and you couldn't do it because you were tired, fatigued. Like I said in the open of the program, you're never going to go this year, and I mean the Super Bowl. Look, check it out. Check it out for a Super Bowl run. Hypothetically, let's say that you guys win home field. So you'll probably play. Who will be the third seed if it pans out? Detroit? So Detroit is the third. You play Detroit in the divisional game. You'll beat them. Then you got to play the Niners. That's going to be the game. Detroit, Niners, and then Ravens. Look at what you just played. Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Cowboys. You ain't playing a tougher stretch than that. You are not playing a tougher stretch. Right. Hey, that 9-3 Lions team, I'm with you, Maniac. I don't know. I saw the Ravens boat race them. In the playoffs, Jalen will be more aggressive. Lord, 84, his legs to extend plays. Could that be a different, could that be when they're going to unleash the RPO offenses in the playoffs? Maybe. Because, like I said, the one thing that was totally missing from that 49er game, from the NFC title game 10, 11 months ago, was that you ran no RPOs almost in that game on Sunday. And that neutralized Fred Warner and the linebackers. The linebackers were all over the field. I thought that Greenwell ejection was going to be a big deal. I did, because he's a freaking tone setter. Only our A game was Miami, in my opinion. LJ, really? I think you guys blasted everybody this year. Do you think you probably A game? Yeah, because you dominated them. Okay, I'll give you that. Okay, yeah, all right. But you beat all these teams with C+ efforts. You had a C+ effort against the Cowboys. They had an A+ effort and couldn't beat you. Dude, you can go into Dallas. You have a B effort, you're going to blow them out. Run the ball at Parsons. That's not San Francisco. That's not San Francisco. San Francisco is dynamic on defense. They're not. Did you see what Geno Smith did to him? Geno Smith put 30 points on him and almost had a perfect quarterback rating. Geno Smith. I mean, DK Metcalf ate Deron Bland up. They were talking. You know what they were saying about him? They were saying that he's in line for the Defensive Player of the Year. I was like, not after Seattle or not. That's not how I see that. Okay. That guy, that's not how I see that. That guy got toasted. Okay, I mean, I don't think DK was, they were playing pitch and catch with that dude, man. Andre, that's right. The 49ers are a dynamic team when healthy. I'm going to give you the deficiency, though. We need more A games, though. Agreed. But here's the difference why you can win the Super Bowl. Okay? If Trent Williams goes down or Debo goes out, he's a different quarterback. Look at his numbers. There's more turnovers, and his quarterback rating plummets. Jalen Hurts beat the Bills without Lane Johnson. Brock Purdy's not beating anybody without Trent Williams. He's not. He is just not doing it. There lies the difference. Look, your deficiencies are totally on defense. They're not on offense. Well, except for your coaching staff. The problems the Eagles have this year compared to last year, your coaching staff, and limited talent on defense. Seals, we were fatigued last week. That was my mantra all week long. Why would this week be different, any different, or the rest of the season for that matter? Because you're not going to play a team dirty D like San Francisco. Dallas is not in San Francisco's league. I'm not saying you don't have to put a great effort up, but what I'm saying is you're not going to be threatened by a team. Hey, I'm going to do something here. SOS. SOS. Have you seen Mozzie Smith? Jerry Jones was trying to tell me that guy's the next Reggie White. The next Reggie White is in Philly, and his name is Jalen Carter. Mozzie Smith has 10 tackles. I had 23 my rookie year. He's got 10 tackles. That guy sucks. Does he play? Bradbury against the Niners. 0 passes allowed. Slay 3 for 35. Morrow 6. I saw that. 6 catches, 175, 2 TDs. They're going to attack the tight ends or the linebackers. Dallas is going to do that. Seals needs some bass in his voice. Thank you, Morrow. Thank you. Okay. That's a brother. Yeah. He was saying steal of the draft, Mozzie Smith. Steal of the draft. Oh, you mean the player stealing the money? Okay, sure. Sure, okay. Seals, how come you never became a coach? Because I can't take ignorance, and I can't take people who don't want to be coached. And when you start paying people, I was offered numerous opportunities with the Cleveland Browns, North Carolina, Miami Dolphins, Dave Wannstedt, and Jimmy. Let's see who else. I was offered a spot in the Raider organization in scouting with Ken Herrick. Sometimes I wonder, maybe I should have did that. I sat in the meeting when John Gruden was your offensive coordinator and interviewed for the job. And I sat in the back with Al Davis. That's a fact. And I get this. I have a letter from Al Locasal that I post with that exact comment. Congratulations, Dan. You're one of the very few people that got to sit in a hiring of a head coach. And Al Davis and Al Locasal looked over at me. And you know what I said about John Gruden? He's awful smart. His grandfather helped build the 49ers. I said, but that's a really complex, and that is without a doubt, you have to have an experienced and veteran quarterback to understand the terminology, because that's why he doesn't. If you look at John Gruden's quarterbacks, what rookie quarterback did he ever work with? Derek Carr? But Derek Carr was kind of there when he got there, right? I mean, he never had a rookie quarterback. Tim Rattay's, Brad Johnson's, right? He never had quarterbacks that he had that were rookies. Didn't work with them because they couldn't understand the terminology. And I said, you better have a good old line. That's why Bill Callahan became the head coach with John Gruden, and he left to go to the Bucs. Bill Callahan's the second best offensive line coach, and he's in Cleveland right now. That's why Cleveland's still winning games and that defense. Bill Callahan is as good an O-line coach as Jeff Stoutland is. He's a tremendous coach. Those are the two best O-line coaches in pro football. Okay? You didn't like Jim Druckenmiller or Gino Carmazzi? He wasn't in San Francisco. He was a quality control guy in San Francisco when he was there. And he got the job in, I think, wasn't it Ray Rhodes that hired him? Was it Rhodes that hired Gruden in Philly? I thought it was Ray Rhodes that hired him. And, hey, the whole progression, that's how Jay Gruden got the head coaching job in Washington. Because Bruce Allen was the former general manager of the Buccaneers, right? Well, Daniel Snyder wanted to hire John Gruden. And he said, no, you should hire my brother. You know who was on that staff? Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay. Sucks how Gruden ended. Yes, dirty. Think about that. Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan were on Jay Gruden's coaching staff. Okay? They were on the coaching staff. Gruden said no. You know who they recommended Sean McVay to? Stan Kroenke. Because Kroenke wanted Gruden to be the head coach of the Rams. Said, no, we got a kid here in McVay. Turned out to be a sensational hire. You'd make a solid D-line coach back to hate now. Roland goes, Morrow is trash. Roland, what did you think? You're playing a guy that was cut twice this year. Are you under some impression that you have superstar players like San Francisco has Greenlaw? Dude, Greenlaw and Fred Warner might be the two best linebacking duo in the league. Okay? It's funny, Matt says, Sil should coach the Eagles. You know what I would do? Do you know if I were the coach of the Eagles, I'd be fired in a week. Because you know what I would say? Sean, Brian, let's see the game plans. Explain to me why we're attacking it this way. I talked to Stoutland. Why aren't we running effectively? And as soon as the front office guy would come in, I would say, get the fuck out. We're having a coaching meeting here. And that's how you get fired. I don't want to hear what an analytics guy who puts pencils behind his ear. And I'm not talking about Patricia. I'm talking about some guy who sits in a front office drinking coffee all day, looking at computers. I don't want to hear him. I want to have a guy in front of me. You should watch how Coach Johnson used to do it. Dave Wannstedt, North Turner would come to him and go, they would have to make their case why they're playing this way against, say, Philly. And Jimmy would sit there and go, okay. And game time would come on Sunday. Coach Johnson had no input, only in timeouts and 2-minute warning, going into half and at the end of games. And maybe some substitutions on special teams. Other than that, he waited till the Monday meeting, whether to get in the coaches' asses or not. This didn't work. Why? That didn't work. Why? He held his coaches accountable. The players were his responsibility. That's why Coach Johnson had the youngest team in the NFL when they won those 3 Super Bowls. He picked the players, he picked the coaches, and he let the coaches play, or he let the coaches coach, and he let the players play. And Jerry didn't like that because he had no say. He just signed the checks. That wasn't good enough for him. He wanted to have more input. Well, Jimmy didn't want to have any more input. And since Jerry Jones has put input into the team, they've never won again. Doesn't that tell you something? By the way, that 17th Super Bowl team that the Eagles won, boy, I'll tell you, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it. Because that team was a one-year wonder. That thing got blown up. People wanted credit. 2 years later, 4-11. Okay. I mean, how do you go from a Super Bowl team to 4-11-1 in 2 years? Ego. That's how that happens. That's how that happens. Rick Gosselin's going to join us. Dallas Morning News and also Talk of Fame Network. That'll be at 4:30. Philly 500 will join us also at 5:30 Eastern Time. Don't forget, the month of December, our good friends at Hooters, man, we're really looking forward to seeing all of you this weekend at King of Prussia. Hooters bonus bucks. Santa's bonus bucks are back. These things make great stocking stuffers here, man, along with the calendar, 2024. They got $100 in gift cards and coupons that are inside the calendars. 9 of the girls are featured in the calendar from the Northeast section, all the way up from Rhode Island through Jersey down to King of Prussia. Absolutely spectacular, man. Got to get these. You can also do this, HootersToGo.com. Wonderful way to get the food. I love it. The steamers are sensational. I love seafood Sundays, half price. Stone crabs. You got buffalo shrimp. The steamers are sensational, man. Happy hours Monday through Friday, 6 items, $6. Fried pickles. Wing Wednesdays, 1983. That's the year the place was founded. Kids eat for free on Saturday. Military Mondays, 20% off with all of our great men and women who serve this fabulous country. We so appreciate you guys doing that. We have a special day for you called Military Mondays. NortheastTutors.com. That's NortheastTutors.com. And do me a favor, every time you roll in, tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.